What's up, Solar Warriors? Today is Tuesday, January 9th, 2024. My name's Jarrett McAllister, the virtual Solar Pro. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to smash that like button, share this content with your friends and family. And hey, let's kick this off. Happy 2024. Happy New Year's to all of you. Jonathan, Tom, Rick, what's up, my brothers in arms? How are you guys? Good to see
Doing
you.
well, doing well. It's 28 degrees. I think it's 16 degrees with wind chill. We got like 6 or 7 inches of snow, so all the kids are home today. So for my cold plunge, I just walked outside in shorts and stood in the snow for a while.
Not butt naked.
Not butt naked. We
Got to
got
get it
neighbors.
all, man. You got to
I
get it
have
all.
neighbors, unlike you, Jarrett.
Bernasso, Happy New Year, brother. How are you?
Hey everyone, good morning, good afternoon. I'm great in here, Southern Nevada. Sorry, I need to check where I'm at in Las Vegas, Nevada. Probably being here more this year, more often. And woke up early, had my red light, some hydration, my 7 a.m. personal trainer. Ready. Let's go.
Right on. Right on. And then Rick, what's up, man? I'm gonna include you in this. You know, everybody knows Mr. Rick Joseph. How are you, sir?
Yeah, man. Did the morning walk, morning breath work, morning cold plunge at 45 degrees, a little bit of meditation. I think it's one thing we all have in common, man. We all have our ritual and our routine every morning. So let's crush it.
Let's crush it. Part of my morning routine this morning was a 7:45 a.m. presentation for a homeowner out in Florida. So
Nice.
shout out to my boy Chance out in Florida, setting that one up. They're looking at to go cash. He owns a Chinese restaurant, very busy. And because of the time zone, I said, hey, let's get this thing first thing in the morning. So yeah, we have an exciting new year ahead of us. Looking forward to absolutely crushing it with all of you and helping you guys all grow along your solar journey. With that said, though, just because it's a new year, we're not doing anything different than sharing some success stories to kick this thing off. So, like we do every single week, if you have a success story, let everybody hear about it, man. Success breeds success. It drops clues, golden little nuggets that we can all pick up from, and it helps inspire. So, who has something that they would like to share, something from over the holidays? If you helped a homeowner go solar, maybe you brought on a brother or sister to this journey that we are on. Yeah, let's talk about it. Who has their hand? Jared Foster, man, you were quick to raise your hand. What's up, sir? How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. I just wanted to share I had an extremely exciting morning with one of my gentlemen I brought on. He's down in the Ventura area. Adam just had a phenomenal meeting, and we're in talks right now with being able to bring on a solar installer to the enterprise level with Powur. So we're super excited about that. On top of that, I have a meeting here at 12:30 to bring on a roofing company in the enterprise level and get them all set up. They're a very successful roofing company here in Northern California. And then I have some more closes going on this week. So super excited to be here.
Beautiful. Love it, man.
Nice.
And let me ask you a question, a follow-up on that, Jared, because you said the enterprise word, which I think we're going to hear a lot of this year in 24. Enterprise is Powur's, product that's just, it's going to shine this year. What was it about enterprise that was enticing, that intrigued them, that made them want to, look towards, becoming an enterprise with Powur?
So, I'm having a conversation with a large roofing company. So I'll talk about that one and some friends with the owner. They currently sell solar now, but they deal with one bank and they deal with one local installer. And what they got excited about was, because I'm also part of the enterprise, that's how I have set up my company too. And so he got excited because it was allowing him, I told him there's 3 approaches as revenue that the enterprise is going to do. One, it's going to allow you to have access to more finance companies, right? And being able to have access to being able to, offer more to your clients and be able to fund your roofing jobs too. I said, then 2 is going to allow you to scale, expand, grow without that large overhead that it would cost for payroll and everything to do. And then 3, you're allowed to also, be able to grow national and be able to have 20 different states that you can go in and sell and be able to, develop a team that's, maybe seated and not seated within your enterprise. And they just saw it. They looked at the pricing. They liked the cost of goods model, which they were kind of familiar with. And I literally, he said, "Oh, let's work out a proposal. Let me see it." And then over the weekend, he just texted me, says, "Come in today and just set us up. Let's move forward." So they're getting it, they're understanding it. So it's really, really exciting stuff. I've got another appointment with a very large roofing company in Sacramento this Thursday that I'll be doing a presentation. I've already done a pre-recording on Zoom. They've been able to see kind of my platform. So they're excited to move on too and be able to control and expand and grow their company.
Awesome.
Jared Foster, everybody, give it up, man. You're absolutely crushing it, kicking some butt in 2024. Man, you nailed it as far as all the benefits for enterprise and these local EPCs or sales companies. Man, it is just a business in a box. You cannot compete with Powur with the different financing options, being able to have the ability to offer all our panels at our cost, right? I mean, you're tapping into a nationwide company's pricing, our cost of goods. There's so many more benefits. In fact, that's something that we're going to get into a little bit more here in 2024 are the benefits of enterprise, because as we all know in this industry, there's a major shift going on. And as people are looking for places to land, Powur Enterprise just makes a tremendous amount of sense. So
On that
great job,
note,
Jared.
on that note too, yeah, awesome stuff. We do have a business development training and enterprise training and Powur calendar I put in the chat above. But to that note, both of you gentlemen said, I just spoke to a small installer yesterday who can't even get Everbright leases PPAs. Everbright is not even accepting any other sales orgs or dealers. So, just hats off to Powur for securing Everbright lease PPA options, FYI.
It's huge. It's huge. Yeah. I mean, Everbright's a big name in the game. And to be able to have those offerings right out the gates isn't amazing. I believe Andre, did you have your hand raised? You did? Why don't you come off mute, son? And what you got for us?
Yeah, so really excited. My ambassador's on this call right now. He gave us a $550 electric bill yesterday. So we're getting started to work on that. And then tonight, I'll be presenting the Powur opportunity to a real estate team here in Los Angeles over Zoom. Should be about 50, 60 EXP realtors. And I'm going to plug in the ambassador link and everything and expecting a lot of good things from that.
Boom. That's
Give
the
it up
way
for
to do it.
Andre, you guys. Taking action, collecting bills, working ambassadors, talking to real estate agents, but not just any real estate agent, EXP agents, which it's no secret. I mean, Powur's business model was literally modeled after the EXP model. I mean, and when you explained what we do to an EXP agent, makes sense right away. They see the power of a decentralized revenue share model. That's awesome, man. I see big things for you in your future, Andre. So just keep it up. How long you been with Powur, brother?
Coming up on 1 year in March.
Crushing it, man. Great
Thank
job, dude. Good to see you on here, and I appreciate you sharing that. All right, we have Solar Bill, Powur Bill, who has something to share with us. Hey, Happy New Year's, brother.
Hey, Jared, thank you so much. And welcome everyone. Happy New Year. There is more in store in 24. If I could trademark it, I would, but I just want, what do you call it? Accreditation. Anyway, fantastic. Wanted to follow up on Jonathan Bernasso's comment about Everbright. We all in the TPO world have done a lot with Sunnova, and props to them for what they do. But I've had tremendous success with Everbright from the very beginning, and because of our California conditions and everything, the TPO model is a good one for our clients, and just rocking it with them. I really appreciate what they do and how they do it. So I'm really looking forward to a lot of growth in that area on that scene. I wanted to also welcome Ariella Haas from all the way from Albany, New York on the call today. Brand new solar consultant looking to, she's an investment banker and wise beyond her years. Really excited for what is in store for her. I think I have another call with a New Yorker today too. In any event, good things going. My last install and Everbright went from signing to glass on the roof and actually final in 6 weeks here in California. So very nice speed of pace with 2 batteries. So I think we're getting things dialed in. Really nice to see. And I want to encourage all of you to be faithful and diligent. And if you've been falling off the horse or been sad about the state of affairs, we're in a tremendous position right now. So go team.
Go team, man. Great job, Bill. Thank you for sharing that, man. Crushing it as always. All right, we're gonna do one more. Mr. Tom Cotter. What's up,
Thank
dude?
you, Mr. Walking Man. I just wanted to share a little story, a win here. So I just had a call with a guy who's been in solar for a few years, selling, started off as an appointment setter and moved into selling. But he found out about Powur from a guy who is trying to start a platform to replicate what Powur is doing. And I heard from this gentleman, it's good, decent training, but not much after that. So he wanted to talk to me because he's like, I don't know, why am I going to wait around for this person to see if they can build something even similar to what Powur has? Why don't I just go to Powur? So it was super refreshing to talk to somebody that kind of saw through all the smoke that's out there, and really recognize the potential that Powur has for, for helping him to take his career and his business to the next level. So expect him to be on joining us, and he can tell his story in the coming weeks.
That's a great story, man. And I will just say, God bless that man for trying to take on building the world's largest decentralized renewable energy platform. I would not bestow that on anybody to take that on, because I know what we've gone through to get to where we're at today, and it is not easy. So wish him the best of the luck, but that's cool, man, that he hit you up. I'll end with this real quick. Yeah, I had an installation out in Richmond, California. Came from an ambassador roofer, referred them over to me. Just got that installed a couple days ago. So let's go. Tommy, back to you. Do you have a Powur perspective to kick off the new year?
I do.
Right, let's do it.
Sure do.
Powur
And
perspective.
thank you, everybody,
With
you guys
Tom-
for sharing your wins.
With Tom Cotter, Powur perspective.
My name
Ooh, I
is
like
Tom, and I'm a recovering employee. Most of us have been trained to think like employees since we were a little kid. Do as you're told, or there's going to be consequences. Brush your teeth, or there's going to be consequences. Stop hitting your sister, maybe. Finish your vegetables, go to bed, or there's going to be consequences. Then that repeats for us in school. Study the test, or there's going to be consequences. You don't pass this grade, there's going to be consequences. That gets built in. Then when we are out of school and get a job, in that job, there's consequence-driven results as well. And we've been trained to think like employees. And it's exactly the opposite of how entrepreneurs think. So when I speak to solar salespeople and ask them what comes to mind when I say the word work, it's mostly pain and obligations, because they've been trained to think as an employee to work so that they can relax, and really chilling out is the objective. Entrepreneurs look at work completely different. Work is our passion. Work is our creation. Work is our mission. Work is our impact. Why would you want to get away from that? Entrepreneurs think on one side of the coin, and employees think on the other side of the coin. And you really have to learn how to think like an entrepreneur. And you can reprogram your mind. In the coming weeks, in the coming months, I'm going to be adding in some perspectives and things for you to think about about how you can begin to retrain your brain to think more like an employee and more like an entrepreneur and less like an employee. And let me just give a plug for something that's happening tomorrow. That is something that if you are in the Powur community, you are paying for already. And if you're not a part of it, you're missing out. And that's the Masterclass Immersive. It's once a quarter now for 4 hours, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pacific time. And in that, you will very often hear from Jim Bunch, who is an amazing trainer. You will hear trainings that are designed to help you to think more like an entrepreneur, less like an employee. And of course, a CEO update from Jonathan Budd, which will help you to think like a solar business owner in this industry. So that's kind of the next thing that's coming up that I would encourage you to be a part of. Masterclass Immersive tomorrow.
Yep. And you can find the link to that on powurcalendar.com, where you can find all of these live events, future events, powurcalendar.com. All right. Thank you for sharing that, Tom. Jonathan, did you have, yesterday, speaking of events, we had our Mentor Monday yesterday, where it was actually open. Was it open to tier 2s as well as tier 3s?
All tier 2s and tier 3s. It's in knowledge base. So yeah, thanks, Jared. Basically, once a month on Monday Forum, ladies and gentlemen, the COO and all the executives are going to be sharing the operations update. So you can find it in knowledge base, or I'll put the video in the chat. And yeah, I'll just share 1 or 2 things that they talked about, but super helpful to see. For example, our plan for Q1. This is like the holy mecca, right? If we can nail these 6, 7 things, guys, we will be set up for success. Financial stability, vision, right? So our proposal tool, vision execution, the change orders and pricing integrity, that's working with partners, how much they charge, master service agreements, updating proposal. It's a lot of work. Design quality, speed, and scope of work confirmation, really confirming the costs in the first few weeks of the job, not letting stuff come up, months down the road. Enterprise growth is huge. We will onboard more installers underneath the Powur umbrella, roofers, and other enterprises and sales org. That's going to be a major area of growth. And throughput and communications management. Everything now is going to be with a task, an owner, a follow-up date, an estimated time. It's all being programmed in the back end. And these are a few of the things that we asked for as some of the leadership to improve upon, because, frankly, some of these areas have been a struggle as we've scaled in 3 years to over $400 million and tens of thousands of installations. One other thing to mention here, they talked about O&M repairs and improvements. They talked about NPS scores, a whole bunch of things. One really cool thing was instant site surveys. So this is coming later this month, where you'll actually be able to have your homeowner book the survey live at time of sale, not holding up the project. So if we can nail the first 15% of the project sale, then the rest should go smoother. And I can't describe, and express to you how important these things are to the executives. They just had their in-person mastermind of all the execs in-person planning Q1, and there's nothing else that matters. This is literally 80% of the focus all year long, is getting these things better and right. Solar will never be perfect. O&M will never be perfect. 1 in 10 jobs will be a shit show. 1 in 80 jobs will have a leak. Like, this is construction. It will never be good. I've sold 1,100 jobs at the biggest nationwide companies. There's always some crap that happens. But if we can get better, boy, is it going to be an amazing 2024, 2025. A few quick updates and we'll hand it off to our training. Like Tom said, Masterclass Immersive tomorrow. I can't express how important this is. It's now only once every 3 months. We're not doing this monthly anymore, so the CEO call will be very impactful. As always, lots of trainings and Powur calendar, building with body, lease, PPA, enterprise. If you're new, there's Powur on this Thursday, and all of your market development meetings. April 18th through 20 is Solar Con. If you want 10% off the pre-sale prices, you can use a promo code Jonathan. 10% off, attendsolarcon.com. That's in Utah, April 18th to 20th. And you can check this out later. We'll post in Facebook. Take a screenshot if you need to. But this is a few of the dates for the rest of the year. So we're going to have some solar Saturdays. We're going to have Powur Day. The next masterclass is in April, every 3 months, Solar Con and other training. September will be Powur World in Florida. More to come on those dates for Powur World in Florida. That's going to be super fun. So yeah, plan out your year, right? Take your time, set your goals, plan out your year. At the end of today's training, after the amazing batteries and the Q&A session, we're going to hang out and give a homework assignment, because next week we're going to come back with tangible goals, how to break those down into activities, conversations, networking, how many presentations you need that result in sales, tier 3 sales, recruits, and an income goal, right? So we're going to have some homework at the end of today's training. With that said, we are getting to move into this. I was about to say sexy battery.
So, yeah, I think you can.
I
You can
told
That's
a customer
completely
the-
allowed. Yeah.
I told a customer the other day, it's a sexy roof, presidential comp shingles. And he's like, I've never heard someone describe a roof like that. Well, anyways, this is a sexy battery. As you can see here, it's a matter of 2, 3, 4. And batteries are more important than ever. The landscape of batteries and solar with blackout protection. People are talking about the energy grid going down, how old our grid is, how susceptible it is to foreign attacks. It's a big topic with net metering and regulation going away, storing your energy, being able to use it back. Guys, if you don't get ahead of batteries, like, you're missing the boat. You're doing your customers an in-service. So with that, I'll go ahead and hand it over to Justin, who is our amazing Franklin battery representative, and he's already sharing his screen. Thank you, Justin.
I may have done this a few times, John. What a pleasure to be back with you guys. If you don't know this already, I'm a huge fan of Powur, your team. It's been an absolute privilege over the last 5 months to spend time talking to you guys, with your customers, facing some crazy challenges and doing it together. We've been here to support you guys. We know that batteries, it's a new landscape, right? It's new territory. And, you guys are so blessed to be in this group with these mentors and to have this kind of support. I've never seen anything like this from a solar sales company, right? And I've been doing this 15 years. So always a pleasure to see what you guys are doing. So with that, try to make this content worth your time. We've got some exciting announcements on the products, some really cool stuff underway for 2024. So I won't waste too much of your time. But for those of you that are new to Franklin, if you don't already know this, the Franklin battery, as you saw in those images, it's extremely attractive, looks at home and, really a luxury garage with luxury cars. And that blue light that you guys see on the battery, that is letting the customer know the state of charge, right? The state of their energy management system. So you can see when they leave for work, they're going to see that blue light is low because they've used that energy. When they come home, they're going to see it's been filled up by their solar. This allows them to spend less time on their app. And it's just a daily reminder of, a great investment that they made with their solar person. If we haven't met, my name is Justin Hopkins, and I've been doing this for a better part of a decade and a half. Some could say I am a lifer, and I've made various trips into other industries, spent a long time as a musician, but I always come back to clean energy and innovation and technology because it's something I love to wake up to and work with every day. I took some photos of some of your guys' Powur installs and threw them up here in a collage. Over 140 systems installed in just 2.5 months, which is great to see you guys starting to really take off and get comfortable with the batteries. Your designs have been great. And we're going to hopefully give you guys a little bit of advice as to, really design these things to hum and work even better than you could ever expect them to, right? But I want to talk a little bit about the market and where we're headed in clean energy. One of the decisions you guys made to Powur was not only do they procure their own products and you guys get advanced access to cost of goods, but Powur's at the head of innovation, right? As new products come out, you can probably bet that Powur's going to be the first person to put it on their platform and get the opportunity to bring it to consumers. And what we're looking at over the next decade is a windfall of innovation, guys. $1.6 trillion committed, right, in funding energy innovation over the next decade. This isn't going to be just solar panels, right? We're going to see hydrogen energy. We're going to see fuel cells. We're going to see all sorts of things come to play. And Franklin has designed our system with the idea that we can work with any energy source you bring to the table, not just solar panels, right? So when you're sitting there, well, I'm going to wait for stuff to get better. What you're doing here is putting in incredible hardware, incredible infrastructure for the customer to expand their energy freedom. And that's at the crux of what we do. And, why we try to, encourage people to stay away from complete ecosystems of product, because then you're kind of hamstrung to the innovation, right? That they bring to the table. It's been fun for the last 5 years, 6 years, really, if you've been in solar, as Jonathan and Tom and all these guys know, it was good times, right? Easy to bring home a deal. And we're now in certain markets, they're opening wide open, right? You've got Ohio, which is going crazy. You've got great battery incentives in Connecticut. People in Florida, are preparing for the next hurricane every second. So, technology is changing and the consumer need for batteries is increasing. And we are dedicated to innovation. There's a great install up in northern Arizona. This system is actually on a 400 amp service. So that you can see they've got 2 A gates here. We just want to highlight for you guys one of the things that makes, what people really rely on for Franklin. One, this is a much easier installation than most batteries for your installers. The one disadvantage is the battery is really heavy. But the great news is that Franklin came out with their own lift for these batteries, and we are providing those to distributors. So your installers are going to have a much easier time moving these things around next year. Literally with one person, you can move it on this lift. So again, trying to drive down the cost of these installs so you guys have even, better positioning. If you didn't know this, Franklin does have the industry's fastest commissioning time. As long as the technician is up to speed on what to do, they're going to commission this battery between 5 and 15 minutes. And oh, nice, Elu. And then we've got versatile hardware. So we work with SolarEdge, Enphase, and any other inverter that may be pre-existing. So we just put these in an off-grid system with AP microsystems. We've had this on Xantrax, Fronius, every inverter on the marketplace. The thing that makes it special is as long as your inverter is sending a 240 volt AC signal, our battery likes it, right? We want to take it in. Not to mention, we are now versatile. We can work with EV cars, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, as well as pretty much any standalone generator and even some portable generators on the market. We are now compatible with wind, which is really interesting. And not a lot of people buying wind turbines, but those that are can use the Franklin system to manage the energy that's generated. And we are currently testing hydropower as well on the battery. Yes, we do work with SMA. I personally, I'm a big SMA fan. I love it, especially if you can get a OG one. So lots of exciting things coming down the pipe. And again, Franklin wants to be the hub that manages it, right? We're more than a battery company, but that's all we do, right? We're energy management. We're giving you guys the best in class hardware in the industry to build your customers' energy systems for them, right? And we'll talk a little bit about what this really means, right? I like to think of the utility as having a key to my house. If I don't have a battery system, the utility can shut my power off whenever they want to, right? They can access my home, affect my livelihood. And by putting in an A gate, right, which is our Franklin gateway, I'm actually changing the service entrance on the home, right? I'm changing the keys on the locks, or I'm changing the locks that my utility has access to my home. And that's a really exciting thing for homeowners. And that's something we're really dedicated to. For smaller homes, you are looking at a whole home single battery boot up. as long as you move those larger loads like an air conditioning unit or a washer and dryer over to the smart circuits. And I want to highlight the fact that we are working with the best and safest, highest quality EV grade prismatic LFP battery cells on the market. We do have a multi-year supply agreement with CATL, who's the world's largest battery manufacturer. And they actually guarantee the warranty on these batteries because we are a newer company, right? So the people actually making the product are coming in and saying, we will guarantee this for 12 years. One of the things I'm really excited to talk to you guys about, and again, we're a little ahead of the horse, right? Like there's not a lot of bi-directional EV cars out in the marketplace yet. So you're going to see very few customers with these, but we've got an exciting thing. We created last year a thing called the A-Hub. And what that was going to do is that was going to be a little mini transformer that would allow cars to come in and plug in from the back of it, right? And take a 120 volt signal and charge their battery with the automobile, and to be able to do the same thing with a portable, smaller generator. What we found out was that right now across the world, transformer costs are skyrocketing. And this product that at one point in time we were going to be able to make for just a couple $1,000s, and I want to remind you, Sunrun charges $20,000 to hook up your Ford Lightning to your home for backup power. Right? So we were like, man, this thing's going to be a few $1,000s. What's the point, to hook up a $200 generator? That's when we figured out, and this is where innovation gets exciting. We figured out how to charge the battery directly through the A-gate from the car without any additional pieces of hardware. So coming in the second quarter of this next year, the software update will allow customers to hook up their Tesla Cybertruck or their Ford Lightning and recharge the battery directly from their vehicle without any additional hardware, as long as they have the smart circuits, which are just a few $100. So really exciting. We'll provide guidance on that towards the end of this month on what's coming out and when that will officially be released. But for those of you that are working deals for customers that maybe bought a Ford Lightning or a Tesla Cybertruck, highly consider Franklin because it's going to save you a ton of costs moving forward on making that compatible. So really excited about that development. We've also got a new net billing software. So for NEM, for those of you selling into California, our new software allows the customer, when you commission the battery now, it will stick into NEM 2.0 because that's what the current customers are on. And when the new shift happens in April, it'll automatically switch it over for them, right? So this is going to be a set it and forget it kind of situation. Your customers do not need to make any changes unless they have specific needs that they want to address around discharging their power in September. So really exciting. Again, this is something that is a gray area. Not a lot of people know exactly what's going to happen. I'm of a much more conservative approach, and we'll talk about that shortly as to, what kind of savings are customers really going to see? And am I putting enough capacity on the solar system to offset their entire electric bill or the majority of it? So this is a lot of product changes, a lot of cool things coming. So we're going to dip back to basics for a minute. For those of you that haven't sold the Franklin system, just a quick overview, right? Franklin, we work with almost any 240 volt generator, even the portable ones. We're compatible with SmartSense and 2-wire start, meaning the generator will automatically start if the battery goes to a certain state of charge as defined by the customer. We work with any AC inverter. Again, guys, this is really exciting. You're not going to pair Franklin up with a Solark. It's a gigantic waste of money. But even the Tesla inverter, believe it or not, we can work with. So from Enphase to SolarEdge to SMA, we work with any inverter on the market. It's a 13.6 kilowatt hour battery compared to Tesla's 13.5. That was very intentional. Oh, what's an SMA inverter? Justin's asking. I'm going to let Tom take that one because I think he's even got me by a few years in solar.
Knock, knock.
And 14.7 kilowatt hour installed, right? So 14.7 kilowatt hour is power that extra kilowatt 1.1 is unusable energy by the customer, right? This is in there so that if they accidentally drain their battery all the way because they left their AC on or forgot to set it to shut off, then when they wake up in the morning, their solar system could still charge their batteries. This is something that, Tesla Powerwall 2 and a lot of other batteries struggle to do because they do not have that additional capacity. So that means the customer isn't able to use all of the battery capacity every day. They have to use just a portion of it and make sure they leave enough in there. So in an outage, it can go, it can be start up by the solar. So a lot of people don't know, inverters require grid energy or at least some kind of power source to start. It's not just a safety mechanism to keep power from going back to the grid. Those inverters require an energy source. And so that's why we leave that extra power. And I love this whole SMA conversation going on. The reason I bring it up is because some of you guys may start doing add-on systems to customers that have had solar for a while and are coming out of maybe their NEM1 arrangements, and you're adding another 4 or 6 kilowatts because they got a car. You would be able to combine that old ancient SMA inverter with whatever new technology you're adding to the home and bring both of those into the Franklin system. That is where Franklin is unique from every single other battery on the market. We're as friendly as they get, right? So, so consider that. And again, the capacity, the reason we have that extra power, we'll talk about in a second, but we want to make sure your solar system can start up in the event of an outage for multiple days. This runs 5 kilowatt continuous. So what that means, guys, that means that I can go up to 21 amps continuous out of this battery running all the time. And I can surge all the way up to 42 amps, right? We used to say we could start a 410 AC, which is absolutely true. Franklin can start a 410 AC. It can only run it for 10 seconds, right? Because that's what that 10 kilowatt peak. No other battery has that kind of surge power on the market. But the more you stack, the more batteries you get, the more powerful the continuous and the surge power gets. So when I have 2 Franklins, I've now got 10 kilowatt continuous power plus whatever my solar system's generating during the day. And then I've got 20 kilowatt peak output into my home, which is going to run pretty much anything. To put in perspective, we had an off-grid job in Hawaii. It was a construction site where they used rebar benders, compressors, table saws, and buzz saws to build a 6,300 square foot luxury home with 2 Franklin batteries. So as people like to, we hear the word resilient a lot. We hear tank a lot. We hear tough as nails a lot. This is a 400-pound battery, right? It is built with the best components in the world. It is a tough cookie, right? This is the kind of thing you put on your house and you really don't have to worry about it. With over 7,000 batteries commissioned and turned on and over 10,000 shipped across the US, we have only had 12 actual RMAs, which is a return to unit. Put that in perspective. That's because we manufacture everything at our plant, we test it, and then we send it to you guys, right? So it's not being put together on the job site. It's not being composed. It is built, tested, and sent to you. And again, you guys can stack this thing all the ways up to 15 batteries on one A gate. That challenge has yet to be met. Ooh, good question, Jonathan. Pros and cons of SolarEdge versus Enphase. We'll talk about that next. So you can stack up to 15 batteries. And if anybody ever does that, again, you're talking about a $300,000 deal. You do get a week at my house in Kauai for free. So just putting that out, but it's still the stem. And you guys give away trips to Hawaii for fun. So it doesn't matter, but I want to see it. So we'll talk about SolarEdge and Enphase right after this slide. So I just want to repeat what you guys, what we just went through. Battery will work in a multi-day outage when customer accidentally drains it. There's under promises and over delivers, right? The customers are getting 13.6 kilowatt hour. That's what they're buying, but they're actually getting closer to 15 kilowatt hour, right? So understanding that, hey, customers getting more than what they're actually paying for. So when we talk about inverters, Jonathan asked a great question. What is preferred? I am personally a pretty big fan of Enphase. I'm a former installer that worked with SolarEdge early on and struggled with the amount of failed inverters that I had to deploy when I was in the field. We were taught, it was hundreds, and I had to actually have 2 staff that were dedicated SolarEdge technicians on my team to run RMAs and testing during that period. It's gotten much better now. So it really depends on the system design, what the customer wants, what you think is best for them. With Enphase, with multiple arrays facing different directions, I would highly recommend Enphase. It's just going to play a little bit better. Our battery doesn't really care. You can get a little bit more inbound power from solar edge than you can from Enphase into the battery, meaning when it works off grid, you probably get a little bit more of a peak. But personally, I prefer the Enphase IQ7 or IQ8 with Franklin. I think it's less trouble when an inverter goes out, the rest of the system's still working. But that's the advantage of AC coupled batteries, guys. If the inverter fails on the solar system, your battery is still going to work fine. You can still charge the battery from the grid if you need to, right? To get it charged before an outage if the weather's bad. So there's a lot of safety in an AC coupled system that I think will help you guys sell more. This is a standalone battery, does not need solar to operate. So this is an advantage of Franklin. It's so agnostic that it doesn't even need your solar panels, right? I always joke that one day we're going to have Tom running on a gerbil wheel to keep my house running, keep the lights on. Yeah. So the secret to all of this, right, guys, is our A gate. You guys we've talked about it, and a lot of you guys are successfully selling the crap out. Oh, please do, Tom. So, you guys have been selling the crap out of these. Like I said, we're seeing them do really well. What our A gate really does is it's an energy management device, right, guys? We're not just a battery, we're an energy management system. I like to always say, if I'm going out into a big storm, do I want a Rolex to keep time or an Apple Watch? And A gate is an analog based product, right? We have a built-in ATS that is it's like a switch, right? That you can literally turn with your hand, that will allow you, if something gets stuck or isn't working, to free up and change the settings of the system. We can manage multiple power sources from your car, generator, grid, solar, the battery itself. We have flexible options, right? We're doing a thing on Monkey Island in Florida right now, where you have a bunch of monkeys that live in a house off grid, and we've got panels on the roof, and they have 3 things they need to power, right? They got an air conditioning unit for the monkeys, they've got lights for the monkeys, and they've got a camera. So the camera has to run 24/7, right? So we're going to connect we connect the camera to the backup loads. The air conditioning and the lights are not needed necessarily, right? We want them if we can have them, but if they're not there, we can shut them down. So we located those in the smart circuits with different state of charge shutoff points. So now the monkeys are back there, they're laughing, they're throwing poop at people kayaking past the island. And if the power gets too low, the AC shuts off. When the battery gets to 20%, the lights shut off, but that keeps the cameras running so that the viewers across the world can keep an eye on Monkey Island at all times. So very cool. You can configure the system however you need to. And one of the neat things we have coming next year, and only for California, is going to be our meter collar. So we are working with New World Technologies to allow you guys to do backup panels on meter main combinations. We'll discuss a little bit about that more later in the month when it's officially stocked. But really excited that probably as soon as Q1, you guys will not have to pull loads over for whole home backup jobs. You'll be able to leave the pre-existing panel and just connect the battery to it. So big cost saver, big change. And again, Tesla has their own thing called the backup switch, which I don't think has been approved, keeps trying to get approved and keeps getting pulled away. But again, guys, this is a system. When you put the A gate in, we hear a lot of, I'm going to do non-backup, just get you some batteries to save you money. The reality is, guys, the grid is failing. You may not have a ton of outages in Southern California, but you will. It's inevitable across the board. And this gives customers true energy freedom. Like we mentioned, it's a 280 amp service entrance rated. So we're changing the source of your power from the utility to the A gate. So I can control my loads. I can prevent power shutoffs. Utilities used to have a key to my home and my livelihood, and now I've changed the locks on them, right? We literally have an off-grid button in the app. So if you're not seeing that, as Elu mentioned, we have real-time visibility and control. You can see what the solar system's producing, what the home is using, what the battery is doing, as well as turn off appliances. I have a lady that shuts off the hot water on her teenagers all the time. They're smart circuits. Tells them to get out of the shower so they don't waste her battery. I'm going to go ahead and skip this for now, but for those of you guys do know, you have the smart circuits in there. Those are an option. And these are what we're going to be able to start charging the battery from the car through come March. So again, this is specific for the Ford Lightning and the Tesla Cybertruck. Yeah, the CTs, all that good stuff is already built in. So it's your installers, once they get past the weight thing, they love this battery because it's so much easier to install. You know, one of the things people like about us is that we really only do one thing, right? My dad told me when I was a teenager and I played 4 different sports and I was trying to be a rock musician. He's like, buddy, you got to pick something, right? You can't be great at everything, so pick something to be great at. And for us at Franklin, we wanted to be great. Here, let's see if I can look at this chat here. Can we land the PV breaker in the A gate to avoid comment combiners? Yeah, well, Ewan, hit me up afterwards. We'll text about that. Would love to talk. So with that being said, going back to all right, well, my camera's weird. I might go sideways on you, but I'm going to leave it. So we have one SKU, or really, that is our product, and that's the A Power. Right now, we are in the process of creating a cost down, time of use only battery that's not intended for backup. That'll be coming out in the middle of next year, and it'll be 8 kilowatt hour to allow you guys for that option. But we still believe as a company that, energy freedom is the end game here. That's the end goal. And so we've kept it really simple for you guys. There's not a lot of things that you have to consider, right? You have the A Power, you have the A Gate, and you guys have the AP box. This is a new product that a lot of people don't know about. And it's only really important for those jobs that are going to be in off-grid situations where they have a lot of outages. I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about why this is beneficial. So the AP box is an additional relay, and it contains a CT and a PV breaker. This will allow you guys to go up to 45 kilowatt of PV on a single A gate. Okay, so this breaks off the system into separate strings. And what this also does is, for those of you that are installing maybe only one battery, but the solar system is like an 8 or a 10 kilowatt, this will allow the system to use all of the panels during the portion of the day where the system isn't exceeding the output of the battery. Let me explain. What a lot of people don't know is that, our battery runs at 5 kilowatt continuous AC power. So if you have a solar system that's feeding in 8 kilowatts of AC power, our battery can't use all of that. It's too much power in congruence to power the home, unless the home happens to be using a significant amount of energy at that time. So what we do is we have the AP box, and that's going to separate your system into tranches. So when the power goes down in the morning, we want to use all of that 10 kilowatt PV, right? Because it's only giving me 3 or 4 kilowatt. But come the middle of the day, around 1 p.m., when my solar system starts to produce a ton of power, rather than shutting off the system where we have to wait for there to be room for the battery to charge so we can bring it on, this will actually shut off a portion of the solar so that it can run perfectly to whatever the home needs. So as it gets towards the end of the day, now it keeps more of my system online, and I have a better charge rate between 3 and 6 p.m., right, as my system would decline. So rather than have a 10 kilowatt that becomes a 5 kilowatt in an outage, it allows you to have a 10 kilowatt up until it can't be. And I'm a big fan of this product. This is great for people that are, really looking for energy independence, want to be able to go for multiple days in an outage and use as much of their solar as possible. But again, for those of you that are just putting these batteries on to save the customer a little money on like an 8 or a 9 kilowatt system, maybe not necessary. What we can do, there's 3 ways for us to do that. We would take the additional excess PV, just install that onto the non-backed up portion of the battery. So when the grid goes down, that part of the PV would go silent, right? That's the cheapest way without the extra accessory. The downside for that, right, again, is the customer has less power to charge their battery in a multi-day outage because the system has been cut down. This makes, what's funny is Enphase does the same exact thing, but it's kind of in part of their system. So when Enphase wasn't working well with Franklin about a year ago, we said, hey, we can just make a part that mirrors exactly what yours does. And it's turned out to be a savior because it really is allowing guys to go for multiple days on end in an outage that have smaller batteries, but use more of their PV. Again, this is only for off-grid use when the power grid is down, right? So it's very few, far in between, but this is why people are buying batteries, right? And we want to make sure that we design these systems with some efficacy. If any of you guys have any questions, my email, my phone number will be in the chat. You can reach out. We will discuss it. And again, as always, my phone is always open to you guys. And I just want to show you a picture of kind of what this looks like, right? So here's a system on a single battery. You could see it was charging the battery, the PV was working, and then it got into the middle of the day. And there was too much PV and it had to shut off the solar, right? So there it drained the battery, and by nighttime, right, there was no real need for the battery. You can see it, the state of charge finally dipped down to a forced charge around 8 p.m. at night. And now the customer, you know, as the grid came on, they actually charged their battery off the grid to keep it charged back up again in case an outage happened. So this is something, if you want to keep that PV working all day and you're doing an oversized PV to battery ratio, again, this is not a problem with like a 12 kilowatt and 2 batteries. Don't worry about that, right? You're going to be fine. This is more for people doing like an 8 or 9 kilowatt on a single battery, or a 16 kilowatt on 2 batteries. We want to incorporate the A-hub for maximum performance. So bringing this back down here, I want to take you guys to something. Oops, apologize. Press the wrong up and down. So as you guys know, again, net metering tariff, it had this hammered into you guys. It's a really important thing to talk about that I don't think we're all being super honest with ourselves about. I don't have too much time to get into it, but I want to talk about sizing systems for time of use rate avoidance instead of for all self-consumption. So you guys to look at this grid of Southern California, and as we know, the rates went up, right? You're welcome for that New Year's Christmas present from our utility, making it easier to sell every day. But this, we're talking about energy that is, for all intensive purposes, around 52 to 40 cents over baseline. Now, by installing a battery that only gets the customer from 4 to 9 p.m. for their main loads means that pretty much every day, if they're using anywhere between 6 and 10 kilowatt hours a day, but in that 9 p.m. to 8 a.m. period, they're still going to be spending $4 a day. That adds up really quick, guys. So that means by that, you're looking at essentially an extra $100 a month just to use power while they're sleeping after they bought a solar system, right? Because under NEM, they're not getting credit for this. So each battery, for all intensive purposes, really in Southern California, Edison has a $28,593 avoided cost of energy over the warranty period. And that's me using no rate escalator. That's me assuming that energy rates stay exactly the same over that 12 years. So don't, when you're designing these for your customers, we want to really consider, am I setting them up to really be successful? Because unfortunately, a lot of our quote tools and proposal tools haven't figured this out yet, right? They can't quite calculate it all right. It is a very difficult thing. But as I went over my own home, right, in Redondo Beach, where I have a renter, and I actually happen to have an Enphase 10T from the original OG days on the battery that I bought before I went to work for Franklin, before I moved to Arizona. And I've always felt that lost power is lost money, right? Under NEM 2.0 even, right? Every kilowatt I produce for my system that's not stored or credited is a hole in my investment. I want to protect my ROI and use the power I produce every day, right? High capacity is king. That's why I'm at Franklin, because I saw their vision and their belief and where product was going, and I knew this would be the case. But a 7 to 12 kilowatt solar system is going to generate anywhere between 50 and 70 kilowatt hours in the summer per day, guys. That's a lot of power, right? Do I need to go back to that graph and show you what they're being net metered in California? No, right? So where does that power go? If it's not being used, it goes to the grid, right? And let's Idaho, no NEM anymore, right? Hawaii, NEM plus, no NEM. So all these utilities are going to be switching over to this, right? So I would start designing under this, or start practicing under this as soon as possible, right? Get comfortable selling customers a decked out Mercedes, because unfortunately, that's actually what they're going to need, right? They're going to need an extremely large system that can act as if it was an off-grid, full self-consumption battery. 10 to 20 kilowatt hours on a 7 to 12 kilowatt system, guys, is not going to be sufficient to avoid major losses during high season. And think of this for an example. I'm going to use my system in Redondo Beach. On June 14th, I generated 56 kilowatt hours. out of my system, right? My customer in the home actually used, my tenant used 45 kilowatt hours for the day. They used 20 of that between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. They used 10, or they had 10, they had a 10 kilowatt battery. Then they used 14 kilowatt hours between 5 and 9 p.m. That was AC, a bunch of other things, lights coming on in the house, and 9 kilowatt hours between 9 p.m. and 9 a.m. Our bill for that day was $4.40. Right? The customer had to use 14 kilowatt hours of the 45 that they used, and still is going to be, if they continue to do this, we'll pay $140 that month. We are now on net billing, not net metering, not a yearly bill true up. So what this means for customers, if we're not designing enough capacity, if we're giving them 10 kilowatt hours on an 8-9 kilowatt system, and well, that's going to store everything you generated and didn't use that day, we need to explain to them they need to use 80% of their power during the day, or else they're losing it. It's a use it or lose it. So I'm trying to scare you guys, and I know we're all out of time, but I want to highly recommend start looking at 13.6 is the smallest we go. I wouldn't, anything over a 7 to 8 kilowatt, if you're really trying to capture their power and save money, you're going to be looking at 25 to 40 kilowatt hour. That's what you're going to need to absorb these systems. So just as a friendly piece of advice from a guy who sees the storm coming, just want to recommend you to really, if you can get your hands on green button data, in a couple weeks, you're going to be able to go to the Franklin website, submit that green button data, and we will give you an actual calculation and system design on our website that you can, back up and compare with Vision and Solo inside of your guys' quoting tools. So I will let everybody know when that is live. It should be really soon. Again, we can program these systems however you need to. It can be done manually, but it is automatically set up where the customer is seeing real-time home usage, which means like if they're in their house and they're in an outage and they're concerned that they're using, 7 kilowatt of their available 10 kilowatt continuous, they can walk around the house and shut appliances off and see that immediately affect their power, right? Kind of like a span panel. So, and then we do, again, don't ever forget, guys, we have a go off grid button. This is my favorite feature of our battery. What this allows you guys to do is to shut off the connection to the grid. If the power gets too low or there's not enough output from the FHP system, we will actually bring the grid back online so the customer doesn't have an outage. So customer can, pretend to be a prepper for a day, exist off grid. It's a really fun little feature. And as long as your customers know if they try to run their hot tub or something, they're probably going to have an outage and, it'll flip the home power back on. This is a really cool feature that makes it really easy to sell. If you guys haven't downloaded the app and have it on your phone, we do have a demo app that you do not need a login for. So you can pull this up and show your customers a live system in the home. And just as the last reminder, you guys, we are supporting all over the US. I have at times literally dropped guys out of helicopters onto farms to fix things because it was too difficult to get them via airplane. But we will do whatever we need to do to maintain an exceptional service experience for your customer. This is something that we really value, and we know it drives the Franklin brand. Is our service is second to none. We got a best-in-class product, and there's a lot of competition from major people out there. But don't forget, Franklin. This is all we do. We don't make inverters. We make our own inverter, but we don't sell them. Right? We make energy management. We make batteries, and we make it really well. So I want to say big thank you to Jordan Shaw, Jonathan, everybody, Eoin, everybody out there that has been such huge advocates of this product. Rick Joseph, you get a special shout out for opening up Powur to Franklin to begin with. And it's been such an incredible year. You guys have a great pipeline of projects coming down the pipe. So I'm excited. We're going to be announcing some new sales contests and new things coming out board for 2024 that, when we were a little 30-person company getting started up, we couldn't do. But now, we just passed our 500th employee. It's crazy times here at Franklin. So show you guys some last installs just as a little bit of motivator. Here's an Enphase and SolarEdge system connected to Franklin. So again, you can combine multiple inverters and the customer will have one place to monitor that PV, right? They can see exactly what the solar system is doing in real time, even with 2 different brands. You can install these in cold areas. right? We operate a -4 to 122 degrees with a 12-year warranty. So your customers, you know, if they're in a snowy area, no problem. We have heat blankets inside of the batteries to keep these cells warm so they don't discharge the power during winter storms. And we work off-grid out of the box, right? So this is a battery that was meant for freedom, energy independence. It was built for off-grid. Just so happens that we were able to make some software that makes it pretty handy for off-grid on-grid applications as well. So that's all I've got. I know you guys have questions. There's a lot of people online, so I'm happy to stick around a little longer and answer, you know, do a little live Q&A. Since I'm
Thank
stuck.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Justin and Franklin. Appreciate you guys, all the pictures, support, and knowledge today. Of course, you can go to Knowledge Base, everyone, for more information on Franklin, and you can get spec sheets as well. And I believe there might be an office hour next Tuesday at noon.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
So we do them every other Tuesday. And yeah, looking forward to it. Next week for the office hours, we're actually going to design some real live systems. So if you guys have customers that you're curious about what you should do, I'm going to put my email in the chat here. Send me your designs, and during that hour, we'll actually go over those individually and help you guys design those and learn some tricks and secrets to make things work even better.
Awesome. Let's see if we could do a few quick questions. If you want to type them in the chat, or David, go ahead and ask your question for Justin.
Hey, Justin, is it okay if I share a video that I'm pretty sure it's on YouTube? I think you showed it to me.
Mm-hmm.
About Hurricane Ian. Have you shared that? I got on here a little bit.
No, please share that. I'd love to talk about that. Yeah, this is killer. Yeah.
It's in the chat box now, and I just want you to know I have a project coming up with Franklin Batteries, and I got the deal because I was going against 3 or 4 other companies, and I showed this video. She's right on the water in Tarpon Springs, which is where I live.
Mm-hmm.
And I showed this video. She said, "There's no other battery. I got to go with Franklin." Just to sum it up, everybody, it's a 5-minute video showing how this battery was, I'd say 2/3 to 75% submerged in water during the hurricane, and the light never went off. And as soon as the water receded enough to where they could turn the system on, they turned it on, and they had air conditioning, and they were the only ones in their entire community. The guy is a very candid, great conversation in his garage about how humid and hot it was, and how they had air conditioning and nobody else did, and how it was submerged. And it's a great video. I just put it in the chat now. Everybody should use that. I know most everybody in here isn't necessarily for backup, but for power, or for Florida, we still are. And we apparently, we help monkeys out too. So I appreciate that. So.
Hey man, it's interesting. It got Ron DeSantis on my podcast. So, which is going to be a fantastic
awesome.
Conversation in a few weeks. Yeah.
That's about 45 minutes for me. That's a huge, everybody talks about that and goes and sees those monkeys, man. That is crazy. I had no idea.
Yeah.
No idea.
Yeah. And then we have some really cool incentives. Guys, one of the things about Franklin is we're not trying to be a utility, right? Like, not to talk smack on Tesla, but they have their own they have their own programs that you sign up for. They're essentially, a utility for the utility, versus we are an open source platform. So like in Connecticut right now, you can get like $5,900 towards the battery just by selling power, when they call for it between 6 and 8 p.m. And again, that's something that's offered to the homeowner that when they sign up, they can enroll and take it. It's not something you have to do on behalf of them. So, across every market, there's a unique little identifier that makes it great. And so please use me. I'm happy to help you guys, and, very comfortable with policy in every state. So.
Awesome.
Justin. Hey man, first of all, I just want to say thanks for coming on and educating everybody on Franklin batteries. I've been a huge advocate of you guys. I think you guys are crushing it, leading the way. A couple things I wanted to bring up. One, you talked about the A-gate, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that you can avoid MPUs when combining Franklin batteries along PV because of the A-gate, and mainly because of that 280 bus bar. Is that correct?
You nailed it, man. You really shouldn't have to do any MPUs when putting in a Franklin system. The only time is going to be where there just isn't room in the current location, like from the gas meter or gas line or something like that. where there's certain inspectors that just aren't going to give that love. Right. And then those are the 1 in 10 jobs that John was talking about earlier in the meeting. Right. You're going to come up with those. But 95% of the time, you're going to avoid a main panel upgrade with Franklin, because the reason we can do is we can control the overcurrent that goes back to the grid. So that grid connection may be only 100 amp. So we're going to shut that faucet that goes out that way is only 100 amp, and then you can have all this other amperage feeding into the system. So that's why.
That's huge, man, especially for those of us who sell in California markets where MPUs are an absolute nightmare, can extend a project 9 months. So
Right.
that's very big. I have another question though for you. Obviously backup power, total freedom makes the most sense. Some people are like, dude, I don't have outages. I'm not worried about it. Give me self-consumption. Like you, I'm a huge fan of Enphase. That's what I lead with.
Right.
Although, ever since we switched over to the 5P batteries, I have a 12 kilowatt size system doing 25 kilowatt hours worth of batteries. That's 5 batteries.
Right.
Is there an ability to do self-consumption with Franklin batteries? Is the technology there, or is it not there yet? Or can you touch?
Totally there. Yeah. Thank you for asking that, Jarrett. It is, if your customer doesn't care about backup power, I would recommend, your leaders should talk to Michelle and the engineering team and say, can we get a solution where we don't relocate loads and we just install the battery? Because we're always going to want to put in the A gate, right? You always want to give that customer the head start on what's coming. It's not a lot of money comparison to what it would cost them to not have it or to replace their main panel. So, but that being said, you can install these with no backup, right? No problem. It's just when the grid goes down, they won't have backup power. And
Sure.
That's not a big deal because it's something you can add later. And in the future, with the new meter collar coming, that's something you'll be able to add for $1,500 instead of $4,000, right? So, yeah, absolutely.
That's huge.
Yeah,
I'll be
and
talking
you want
to
to set them
designer.
up, right? Yeah, because
Yeah.
if they're going to get an EV or other power sources in the future, the A gate's going to be essential and save them a lot of money.
Got it. Very cool. And then one last one. You mentioned over 5,000 square foot in Kauai. Was it Zuckerberg's doomsday bunker that you guys were working on, or?
It wasn't. So it was a 6,300 square foot house. It was a celebrity, but it wasn't Zuck by any means. So it was like so Don Ho, the singer Don Ho, Tiny Bubbles, his daughter Hoku Ho, who actually went to college with, it was her house. And so pop star, you guys, for those of you that are 43 like me, she was, popular in our 20s. But super cool though. It's my favorite install job that we ever had, because I remember going there and the guys that were working on the construction site were like, check this out, right? And they would fire up appliances and try to break the battery. Like we'd see how many we could get before it faulted. It was cool.
Awesome, man. Well, look, hey, I appreciate you and your time and coming on here with the team. If you guys have more questions, as you mentioned, Tuesday, it looks like 12 o'clock Pacific. This Tuesday, they're going to be doing a deep dive. You can find that on powercalendar.com. But if we have nothing else, Justin, I appreciate you coming on here. Powur Hitters Training, Solar Warrior Tribe. You guys are a huge advocate of power. We love you guys and the batteries, and looking to crush it 2024, man.
It's going to be wild. Jarrett, I love your energy. I'm guessing you got to pee like a racehorse, man. So I'm going to let you get out of this thing. I can feel it. I appreciate you guys. Listen, what's the homework assignment? I love it. I love this.
Jared's on a treadmill, just in case.
Yeah, I'm on a treadmill, so I'm getting my steps on, dude.
What a legend. That's even better. Man, you guys are the best. David, good to see you.
Thanks, Justin. Let's go ahead and stop the recording.
All right. Thanks, guys.